Have you ever asked, what is heaven? Is it another dimension, a paradise? Does it really even exist? We're all going to pass from this earth, and knowing what comes next can end the fear of death and bring you peace. Our goal here at Hello Heaven is to answer these questions and many more concerning the afterlife. Welcome to our podcast, Hello Heaven. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Hello Heaven. I'm Barry Strohm, your host. Connie and I have published 10 books about supernatural, and we have over 700 videos on YouTube. I'll use my ability to speak with the spirits to bring you information about the afterlife. My gift is of God, and I will truly use it to help prepare you for your day of passing and what is to come when you enter heaven.
And I'm Connie Strohm, your co-host. Hello Heaven is broadcast on YouTube Live, on Barry's personal Facebook page, and in our Facebook groups. Our most active Facebook group is Words of God, Then and Now, and all of our live videos and broadcasts are in that group. Audios of our broadcasts can be downloaded at helloheaven.podbean.com, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Alexa, and many other audio platforms. We believe that our shows are unique in that we bring you information about the afterlife and heaven by speaking with the spirits. Last week, we discussed the importance of charity and helping others. We channeled the spirits of Paul Newman, Milton Hershey, and Andrew Carnegie, three of the greatest philanthropists of our time. The show is available on our YouTube channel.
Now, tonight, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to show you part of my collection of supernatural, paranormal, and yes, even alien photographs. Many of these images were published in my first book, Haunting and History of the Battle of Gettysburg. There is a problem with those of you listening on audio-only platforms, obviously, in that you won't be able to see the images as you're hearing our conversations. The images will be available on all of our live streaming sites. So the easiest way to see those images is to go to our YouTube channel in my name, Barry Strohm. They also can be seen on Twitter and our Facebook sites. So I apologize for the inconvenience, but the photos are very real. And trust me, there's going to be about 35 of them, and they're going to be well worth seeing. Now, I started doing a lot of alien photography when we were in Pennsylvania, especially on the Gettysburg battlefield. It is an absolutely amazing place, and many of these images that you'll see tonight have either been taken in the antique gallery that we owned in New Oxford or on the battlefield. So we're going to start by talking about orbs. Many people believe that orbs aren't real, that they aren't spirits, that they aren't ghosts. Well, I'm going to show you a couple photographs and then see if we can't change your mind. Now, the first page, that's an orb, a close-up of a face in an orb that was taken on the Gettysburg battlefield. You can see the nose, eyes. It's a little blurry. Sometimes the more you blow it up, the harder it is to see some of these images. Now, here's another one. I think that might be a little bit more. Now, these are actually the faces of soldiers. I can't even describe how many orbs you'll see on the battlefield at Gettysburg. But here you can see the eyes and face and the mouth of another spirit orb. There's another one. You can see an outline of the face in the image of the orb itself. They come in all sizes and all varieties. That is one huge orb. I took this out on the battlefield as well, and you can see a cannon to give you perspective and a statue as well. They come in all sizes, all varieties, and all colors. Now, here's an interesting one. That is actually a dog's head that occurs in an orb. Now, the place that I took this image was at a location on the battlefield where a mascot of one of the Union regiments was killed. The dog is actually quite famous. It appears in certain oil paintings in the Capitol building in Harrisburg. But I took this orb, and when I examined it, it has this dog's head in it. And that is exactly in the location where it was killed on the battlefield. Now, we owned an antique gallery in New Oxford, Pennsylvania. We sold it 4 years ago and no longer own it, thank goodness. But it was like this hotel for ghosts. I didn't even believe in spirits till I started spending time at the store, and it's a truly amazing place. Here's a photograph that we took in the store. You can see the blue orb alongside all the antique cases. And if you look down at the bottom where I blew the face up, you'll see a woman's head in the orb. Now, we had a lot of attachments, a lot of spirits in the gallery, and it was a pretty amazing place. And they are very intelligent. Here's a photograph that was taken by my granddaughter. That is me taking a photograph on the battlefield, and there is an orb that is sitting there watching me take the photograph. So who knows? It may even have a camera, and I might be in their photography as well. So there are many of them. I know people might still be saying it's dust on the screen. One night I was out photographing, and I took this picture. Now, if you take a photograph in fog or mist, it'll look something like this. But the image that I took before and after this image was absolutely clear, and it was a beautiful, clear night. If you look at it and look closely at some of the orbs, you can see faces in some of them. You'll see many different colors. And I think the different colors are represented by the fact that it's different energy levels. Orbs are absolutely amazing. It is the most common shape in order to photograph different spirits. Now, they move very rapidly. As I said, on the photograph that you're looking there, you'll see I told you that the frames before and after were absolutely clear. Now, this one is an incredibly interesting photograph. Now, if you look at everything, you will see that it is an absolute focus. Now, on this night, my camera was set at 1/60th of a second. Now, if you'll look at the orb that is moving over top of the cannon, it's leaving a track as it moves. So that orb moved from one side of this shot to the monument in 1/60th of a second. If you do the math, you would find out that that orb had to move at over 400 miles per hour in order to cover that distance in 1/60th of a second. That is why you'll often see them. You have one clear frame when you photograph, and then you will have another frame in which the orbs have basically taken over. Now, I'm going to take time to show you a video that we took in the store. At the antique gallery, we had a basement, and there was a portal in the basement, and you'd see the spirits coming in and through the wall. I had permanent cameras, infrared cameras set up, so we could actually sit down there and watch all of the spirit activity in the store. Now, this short video was taken, and it will show you an orb coming out of the wall and coming by the camera. So I'm going to start the video, and you will now watch the orb come out of the wall, approaches the camera, flies off, and comes back through on the ground. Now I'm going to show it to you in very, very slow motion so that you can understand and get a little bit more of a feeling just what these orbs look like. There was another one came out of the wall there on your left, but that's not the one we saw in high speed. But watch by where the lamp is on that stand. And in slow motion, here it comes. See the orb coming out of the wall itself? And it approaches the camera, Hopefully, it doesn't stop. But it keeps coming towards the camera. Now, if you stop that, you would actually see a face in that orb. It would be very obvious, but it turns away, and what you see is it goes up towards some of the other cameras that we had, and then you'll see it return through the actually it goes through some of the chairs, but you can see it coming back in slow motion. Now, do not try to tell me that that is a speck of dust. I think when you watch this, once and for all, you might understand the realities of just simply what takes place with orbs. Now, spirits have the ability to form. I don't know how they do it, but a spirit energy is able to form up and take the form of an apparition. Now, I photographed a lot of different apparitions. We had some in the store, we had some on the battlefield, and I'm going to show you a series of photographs of them. And I'm going to start with a photograph that was taken in the antique gallery. We had a professional group come in because this was back before I totally understood about ghosts and what they were, and I wanted some professionals to look at it. So this image was taken by a professional investigating team. What you're looking at, the man in the center, is real. That's one of the investigators. But look over his shoulder and you see that woman's face. That's a ghost. Look at his other shoulder and you'll see another ghost looking over his shoulder. But the woman in the mirror is one of the clearest ghost photographs that I've ever been involved with. Now, obviously, it's a little on the blurry side, but that is a close-up of her face. You can see her eyes are almost shining in the photograph. The white tag is the price tag that was on the mirror, so don't let that excite you in any way. So this woman, and I believe it was the same woman that was in that blue orb that I showed you earlier, was basically attached to this mirror. Now, the mirror has a story. Actually, A&E wanted to do this story on my ghost story, but they wanted to fake it, so I wouldn't let them do it. But I sold the mirror. I was away at an antique show. When I came back, I found out that the mirror had been sold. So I went back and I thought, this should be very interesting because somebody, I think, just bought a ghost. About 6 months later, the guy that buys the mirror comes back in the store and I start to talk to him. And he says, I've had some really, really bad luck. I said, what happened? He said, my house burned down. I said, well, that's really, really bad. Did you get any of your furniture or belongings out? And he said, well, I did. But the house started to burn. The firemen came in. And when they came in, somehow or other, they carried that mirror that I bought here out of the house. Then they left, and the house began to burn again, and it was too far gone and burned to the ground. But do you know that mirror that we bought here was the only piece of furniture that we got out of the house? And I said, well, why did they decide to carry that out? And they said, well, one of the firemen said that a woman asked them if they would please take it out of the house. So apparently the ghost that was attached to this thing formed into an apparition and had the fireman carry the mirror out of the house. So that is the story of the woman in the mirror. Now, on the battlefield, we see many, many soldiers. This is a soldier. It was taken in the peach orchard at Gettysburg. You can see he has a hat on. You can see his dark eyes, a beard, and he's actually holding a rifle. Took this one night, and the amazing part of this is You cannot see the fence through him. Generally, when you get a lot of these ghost pictures, you find that it is very difficult to not see what is behind him. In this instance, that is one solid apparition. You cannot see that fence that is behind him. That is an example of one of the best apparitions I think that you're going to see. Now, here's another one, and the cannon is obviously real, but you can see a soldier standing behind the cannon, aiming. You can also see an orb on the right in front of the monument, but this is a very good shot. You can see some detail of his face, but not a whole lot of it. This would have been a Union position, so this would have been a Union soldier. This is where the fighting took place on the second day of the battle. In this one, this was taken down around Devil's Den. And there's a place where at the base of Little Round Top, where many, many soldiers were killed. And this was taken in that spot. And you can see it's like he is still hiding behind the bushes, looking for protection. A lot of these spirits do not realize they've died and are actually still fighting out there on the battlefield. We've channeled many different situations. We've talked to them, and there is a channel of the unknowing dead. But this is a very, very clear apparition of a soldier that is hiding in the bushes, and I don't know how long he's going to stay, but right now he's still there. Now, this is an interesting picture, and I actually used this as the cover for my book, Haunting History of the Battle of Gettysburg. What you're seeing is an energy form of a soldier in a bayonet charge position. You can see him looking down at the ground and forward as he was running. Now, this is a Union position. It's fighting very early in the battle on the first day, and it is exactly true to the history of the spot. The Confederates were in the gully in front of him, and the Union came in, and they did not give the soldiers time to load their muskets. They put them directly into a bayonet charge at this location. And here you can see this energy form of that soldier that was killed at that spot. Forms take many types. Energies often can be seen in these cloud forms. They can be, if you look closely at the picture, you'll see other orbs in the background. This was basically a slaughter pen in the first day of the battle. And this is a lasting image from that day. Here you see another soldier hiding in the bushes. You can see his face. Now, strangely enough, this picture was taken across the road from where the soldier that I just showed you, where I took that picture. So this would have probably been a Confederate soldier that was hiding in the bushes and was looking towards the Union line and the bayonet charge at that time. So a lot of things tied together on the battlefield. It's amazing. Now, one 4th of July, we were on the battlefield and we were trying to channel with Confederate soldiers. And we had a Confederate officer come in who was still fighting. He was truly part of the Unknowing Dead channel. He did not know who we were sitting there. He asked us why we were dressed like we were. And we asked him what he was doing, and he said he was guarding the rear of the Confederate retreat. And we were in the exact spot where this was taking place. We had flown a Confederate flag because we wanted to try to channel with Confederates. So he told us that he had his men in the tree line and they were guarding. So we said, would you please bring them up and let us see them and talk to them? So he brings his soldiers up. Now, the individual that owned the property that we were on had this building with an open window. And when you look at this image, you will see the face of a Confederate soldier looking through the window at his battle flag. So the soldier came up, his men were lined up. One of them went into the building, and I got his photograph looking at his battle flag. None of these guys knew that they were dead, and it's very sad. But he was in the exact spot that he had been in 150 years earlier. Now, you also see many, many different types of images out there. Here's a picture I took of a ghost dog. You can see him looking over the hill, and you can see his eyes and his nose and his floppy ears. And this is not in the location where I took the picture of the dog in the orb, but this was up on Cemetery Hill, and I have no idea, but I actually photographed this same ghost dog in 3 different locations of the battlefield. But this is probably the best image that I have of him. Now, part of what I learned when I was doing all of this is all of the different supernatural images or beings that really do truly exist. For those of you who do not believe in fairies, there is an image of a real one. I took this one night. This was a place of very heavy fighting, but this is a fairly large image. That would be, it was relatively close to me, but you can compare it to the size of the railroad tracks. So my guess is it was probably 1.5 to 2 foot in size. I did not see it at the time I took with my eyes, but it definitely showed up on the camera. I would use 3 different cameras when I was out there. I would have them set differently. One of them would be set with infrared, but they would always shoot flash. The key to taking photographs of spirits on the battlefield is using flash. Now, if that one you don't believe, here's another one. Now, this is good because it gives you size comparison. I was actually about 50 feet away from it, and this is a close-up, but you can see that it is roughly the size of a pane of glass. So these fairy images take different types of shapes, depending on how they're moving, what you can see. This is not a bug. If that was a bug, I would have stopped taking pictures on the battlefield. Here's another image. This is a smaller image, but you can see that it truly does have a fairy shape to it. It's not your ordinary type of bug. Here's another one. Now, one thing when you see all of these, they seem to have this little green tip thing on their heads. This is a blow up. And I asked the guides one night when we were channeling, I showed them the picture and I said, what is this image? And they said that is a male fairy. So who knows? Apparently there are male and female fairies. I never put that one together either. But they take different forms. One night I hit the jackpot. I took all of these images in one evening. Note that all of them have got that one colored tip that come out. They have different forms, different shapes. You can compare them. I was in a cornfield, so you can compare them in size to some of the images where you can see the young growth of corn. But these were all photographed on the 4th of July, which was the anniversary of the day after the Battle of Gettysburg. And I was on the retreat route. Now, does that have something to do with why we suddenly see all of these images? I don't know. But one thing I do know is that all of the images I'm showing to you tonight are original. They're all images that I've taken. I would work with trying to bring the images out, but I would never do anything to change the image themselves. So anyway, fairies are very, very real. Now, when you're on the battlefield, you see these large clouds of spirit energies. I've always referred to them as an ectoplasm, but you can refer to them in many different ways. But these ecto clouds, you'll see them on one frame on the camera, and the next frame they'll be there, and the next frame they're gone. So they move very, very rapidly. So I'm going to give you an example of one of the more interesting ones that I've seen. This was actually taken at Pickett's Charge location. I went after I took the ecto picture at night, and I went back the next day to take a picture of what the site looks like. And you will note the two monuments, and you'll see that they have actually formed a cross out of this monument. I can't explain it, but this cloud of energy, and it was a clear night that I took the photograph. So if I have frames of it from that night that are clear, and I have this one frame where we had this cloud of energy come in. But what amazed me was the fact that they made a cross out of the right-hand monument. I thought this was one of the more interesting ectos that we've ever taken a picture of. It can take many different shapes. If you look back at this, doesn't that look a lot like Chewbacca? You can see it has an eye, it has a mouth, and this was taken on a clear night as well, and it was a pretty amazing shape. Now, one night I was on the wheat field. No, I'm sorry. This is another location. This is showing an immense cloud. This is a bridge, and this is just a reflector at the end of the bridge. But you can see many different shapes in this. You can see eyes in this location, faces swirling in it, sets of eyes and different faces. And there was a huge amount of energy with this cloud. But it was a single frame. And as I say, before and after are clear shots. Now, one of the most amazing ones I think that I have is this one. This was taken on the wheat field, scene of one of the most violent battles that took place at Gettysburg. But look carefully. This cloud has the shape of an angel. You can see the wings, and you can see the arms and the hands. And if you look real closely, you'll see the faint shape of a body. You can see the eyes of the head and the arms of the angel. Now, I believe that when it's time for the soldiers to move on, the angels interact with them and actually are the ones that lift them up and help move them on into heaven. But I've photographed several angels on the battlefield, but I think this is the most detailed one that I ever have. Some people are going to say that it doesn't look anything like an angel, but I think it does. And every once in a while, you would see some really weird and somewhat evil shapes. That is one of the most bizarre shapes that I ever photographed at Gettysburg. It's a cloud of energy. You can see it has an eye, and you can see it has a mouth, and it's almost like the mouth is exhaling this stuff. But once again, this was taken on a clear night, and it is a shape of what I refer to as an ectoplasm cloud. Yes, there are some things that do make you think twice when you see them on the back of your camera, and this was one of them. Now, not all ghost shapes that you see are the same. What you're looking at here is a real camera, is a real Canon, but over top of that Canon, you see the shape of a ghost Canon. If you look at it, you'll see there's a different bore diameter and different shape. The picture was taken on the Union side of the termination point of Pickett's charge. During the battle, the Union had these cannon lined up, hub to hub, and they were firing at the advancing Confederates. This is a picture of a ghost cannon. Sometimes incidents leave impressions in history, and these impressions can be seen as spirit forms. But this is a photograph of a ghost cannon. I'd never seen it before, and this is the only picture like this that I've ever taken out of the thousands that I've taken on the battlefield. Now, we see a lot of spirit attachments. People become very fond of items and they don't want to give them up even though they're dead. Connie and I used to do antique shows and traveled around the country, and I had a friend, very good friend, that was a jeweler. And he was selling a horseshoe ring to a customer. And the customer wanted to have a picture of it sent to his girlfriend before he bought the ring. So he asked me if I would come over and take a photograph of the ring so that the customer could send it to his girlfriend. Well, I took the picture, and you can see the face of the prior owner in the horseshoe of the ring. I took the photograph, looked at it, and did not know what to say, because I knew if I showed this picture to the buyer, he was not going to be real happy about taking a haunted ring home with him. So I pretended the picture didn't take it, that I didn't get a good photo of it. And I took another one, and the second time, the face was gone. But this is one of the best pictures of a spirit attachment to a personal item that I think anybody's ever going to see. And I would think it would make you think twice before you're going out and buying a used piece of jewelry. Now, when Connie and I were at the store, we had many items with spirit attachments. We had an oil painting, and this oil painting had a spirit. And whenever anybody was psychic and would go by this photograph, the oil painting would talk to the person. And we asked the ghost in the oil painting what his name was, and he said it was Joseph. Well, there's a picture of Joseph, and this is a haunted picture. So one day, I'm up front at the store, and a customer comes up, and she says, I have an item that is talking to me. Okay, let's go back. We walked into the booth where Joseph was hanging, and I said, just how is this item talking to you? And she says, well, I want to buy the oil painting because I'm a psychic. And he just said that he hates it here because of the music that we play. And when would I please buy the photograph or the oil painting? It was from the 1890s. Would I please buy it and take it home so that he didn't have to listen to the crap music that we played in the store? So the woman buys the image for $1,500 because it was talking to her. And that is just how real it is possible for a spirit attachment to be. So we talk about aliens. I'm going to change the subject a little bit. One evening, I'm out. It was the time that I was writing my Aliens Among Us book. And I was out on the battlefield, and it was a hot summer's night. So I decided that I would drive my wife's convertible and just simply take photographs outside without getting out of the truck. And I'm driving down the slaughter pen, heading for Devil's Den. And I snap a picture outside, and I look at it. And on the back of the camera, I see that I've taken this picture. Now, the round is the moon, okay? So this was in the air, and I have no clue what I'm looking at. So I had my 3 cameras with me. So I started snapping different photographs of this image. Now, I could not see it with my eyes, but I was seeing it on the rear of the camera. I wound up getting almost 40 frames of this on 3 different cameras. Here it is again, taken on one of the other cameras. And you can see this time it lowered itself and was in back of these bushes. I had no clue what it was, but I started to drive in the car and snap pictures, and this thing was following me. Probably followed me for a mile because I'm taking these photographs out of the convertible and they're showing up on the background. I have images higher in the sky. They all look very similar to this. So I go back to the store, and the next night I start to channel, and I asked Laura, the guide, what in the world was this thing that was following me last night? And she says, it was an alien drone. What do you mean it's an alien drone? Why would a drone follow me on the battlefield? And she makes the comment, well, maybe they were ghost hunting. Don't know. But the guides tell me that this is an absolute alien drone. And then later on, I did see the alien in my bedroom. So I can pretty much assure you that aliens are absolutely real and they do truly exist. And every once in a while, I would take photographs of which I would have no idea what was taking place. And this is another one of them on the battlefield. Look up now, you'll see that everything is in focus on that monument. My camera's set at 1/60th of a second. Now look up in the corner and you will see lights that are moving and covering that much distance in 1/60th of a second. I can't explain it, but I do think that it's certainly alien related. I have pictures of moving orbs, but never that bright or never that far away with that much of an image. So whatever that image is in the sky, it moved that much in 1/60th of a second. Now, on different nights, I recorded such movements. There is a collection of some of the other movements, and all of these were taking place in probably a 50th to a 60th of a second. I did go online and I found images that people were talking about alien ships that looked very, very much like the upper left-hand corner or the left-hand lower corner. But these are all images that I took on my cameras, and I have more, but these were, I think, the best. And these 8 different images were taken at different times on the battlefield. I believe that they are alien related. I don't know why. I mean, it looks like whoever was driving the ship was drunk, but it is just covering too large an area in the sky, and it's just moving too rapidly. But I believe that what you're looking at is the track of some type of alien vessel. Could be drones like were following me on that night. It's an amazing world. I can tell you that much about it. It's very strange. But I hope you enjoyed that collection of pictures. I guarantee you that they're all very real. And maybe one night I'll pull some more of them out and we'll talk about them. I know that it's a severe disadvantage for our listeners that are on the audio only channels. But if you're listening, I apologize, but all of them are posted on our YouTube channel or our Facebook Lives. So I hope you enjoyed them. It took me many years to put them together. They're not doctored. They're all real. And I think that it proves that what goes on the other side is a lot more complicated than what you would ever believe. So there you go. That's the end of the photography session. I've completed my 11th book. It's entitled Jesus the Missing Years. The Bible speaks of the birth of Jesus and his ministries. Now, except for a single instance as a preteen that never really took place, the Gospels ignore 33 years in the life of Jesus. Connie and I channeled many souls, such as Mary, Joseph, wife and children of Jesus, John the Baptist, Jesus' grandmother Anne, his brother James, the three wise men, many names that were never even mentioned in the Gospels. And we took all of these channelings and put them together to bring you the real story of the life of Jesus. The book will soon be available. I'll have signed copies on my website. I'm waiting just simply to get the author copies, and then we will release them. But it's almost there, folks. It'll be in time for Christmas. I guarantee you, when you read this book, you will have no doubts about the fact that Jesus truly lived and existed. So anyway, it'll be a couple of weeks, and then you will be able to buy it. So, Connie?
Thank you for listening to our live stream of the podcast of Hello Heaven. Please tell your friends about our shows. They're all meant to prove the existence of an afterlife and improve your life. We try to bring you information about all aspects of the paranormal and the supernatural dimensions. We will all face a day of passing, and the more you know, the less you'll be fearing that day. If you'd like to see the images from tonight as you listen, please join us on YouTube Live or Facebook Live on Barry's personal page and in our personal Facebook groups.
Now, the audios of our show can be heard on Apple Podcast, iTunes, Alexa, Spotify, iHeart, and all the major platforms.
So please subscribe to our channel or platform and leave us a like and a comment. Subscriptions are vital in bringing us more listeners.
So thank you very much for listening to Hello Heaven. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you enjoyed seeing the photography. It took me many years to put that collection together. And you're seeing things that are absolutely real. Please tell your friends about our shows. I hope that you will be able to bring enjoyment and understandings about what takes place in the afterlife. God is very real. The afterlife is real, and so is heaven. The fact that I could photograph all of those images of different items is pretty good proof. So we'll be back again next week. Thank you so much for joining us on Hello Heaven. Thank you for listening to Hello Heaven. Please join us Fridays at 6 p.m. Pacific Time on YouTube and Facebook. You can hear us on multiple audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, Alexa, and other media platforms as well. If you'd like to appear on the show, send an email to onestrom@gmail.com and tell us your story. Have a great week. Tell your friends about our show. They'll thank you for it. Music is by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com.